Okay. Well, we have a quorum. We're expecting one more, but we'll go ahead and get started. So it is 6:02, and I would like to call this meeting to order. Those who choose to can stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, or you can stay seated for silent meditation.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so the first item on the agenda is the approval of the regular board meeting minutes. So those are included in the packet. I actually do not believe that we have enough people to pass this right now because Bethany was absent last month. So I suppose we'll just table them. We can vote when Barbara gets here. We can vote next meeting. Did anyone have any suggestions for changes or any concerns about the minutes?
I wasn't absent last month. I was absent in August.
Oh,
Is that right?
I thought you were at last meeting too.
Or was I?
Yeah.
You were
I had-
at a brand not working? At a school.
oh,
Oh, that's what it
Oh,
was.
the open house.
I was like, I'm relying on.
Because
this
I
for
was
the
your
first
last
time.
one. I haven't met her yet. She couldn't have been there.
Okay,
Or after a while.
it does.
But Barbara,
Okay.
you're like Barbara.
Oh, is it? Okay, well then we'll pause for just a moment. So we can just vote on them and get them over with.
Saying your silent good, she won't miss the financial report there.
Would anyone like a snack while we're
Yeah,
in
please grab
pause?
I already have.
We'll pass them down that way.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm gluten free.
Hello.
Well, I'll start bringing those again. I used to
We
bring.
need you now, Barbara, so that we can pass the minutes.
Free, but then when she left, I was like, oh.
Yeah, real stuff is my favorite.
Well, I mean, just more like I didn't have to make 2 stops because I would just go to the different blend or whatever the one is
Oh my
right
God,
now.
that's very fair.
So since we now have enough folks to vote on the minutes, is there a motion to approve the minutes from the September meeting? Thanks, Alish. Do we have a second?
I can't second.
That's all right.
Shut up now.
Okay, so no one earlier had any changes to the minutes. Barbara, did you have anything?
Nope.
Okay, all in favor of approving the minutes? Okay, all with one abstention from Bethany. Okay, public input session. Do we have public input that came in?
Nope.
Do we have public input from here in the room? No. Okay, let's circle back to that and see if there's any later. We have, excuse me, 2 personnel actions to approve. The first is to accept the appointment of part-time library page Corey McCarthy effective October 1st, 2025. And the second is to accept the appointment of part-time library page Connor Nags effective October 1st, 2025. Do we have a motion to approve those personnel actions? Thank you, Barbara. Is there a second? Okay, thanks, Bill. Any comments? All in favor?
Hey.
Okay, great. George, off to you.
All right, we'll start with the statement of revenue, expenses, and changes in net position. It's the report with the coffee stain in the lower right-hand corner.
I have that.
Yeah, should all be the same. And we reviewed them last night at the Finance Committee. There's nothing particularly unusual or exciting about it. Under revenue, all other revenue is about 6,000 favorable for the month. There was a dividend that came in from an insurance company for our commercial and auto policy. The insurance company does issue dividends if depending on what type of year they're having and everything. So there was about $4,500 included in the number on line 6 for the month. We talked salaries and wages are still favorable. less favorable than they have been in the past. If you look at line 8, the variance for the month is about 8,000 versus a larger variance year to date. Fringe benefits continue to be favorable. There was a couple of things that just were the way we booked them. Basically, on line 16, there's a negative number for technology, but there was an expense last month that we noted during the meeting and we didn't get it into last month's. So we swapped it out in the current month. So basically, there was an expense for 7,108 that you'll see on line 26 that was a capital improvement. So we took it out of expense, resulting in a slightly negative amount during the month, and put it into line 26. Other program services, I believe there were some donations from the foundation that paid for some different programs. So we offset that against expense in the current month. I guess the thing that I thought was sort of interesting was when we look at the month, and we're the third month, September. And when you look at the variances for the month versus year to date, when you start on line 7, it's about a third of the year to date variance. Line 28 is about a third, and line 29 is a third. And interest and investment, they're all, we seem to be running fairly, we've had some ups and downs, but we're fairly even each month and everything, which for some reason accountants they like consistency. And I didn't say that interest and investment income continues to be favorable. We had booked some reductions into the rates, thinking that they might start dropping pretty soon. And so far they've held up, as we'll see when we look at the investment report. Turning the page to the other side, it's the same thing. Line 3, total cash and investments decreases up through this point because we don't have the tax levy in that Pete said we got last year in the third week of October. So it will be coming in shortly, at which time our cash and investments will go up because of the levy. And I think we get about, can't remember if it was 90% last year or thereabouts. So we get quite a bit of it. So that decreases. Everything else is relatively consistent. I commented that that the staff is doing a good job on managing cash and investments, line 1, cash and cash equivalents, which we can look at the detail on the investment report, but we don't earn interest on that amount. So they've done a good job of leaving it in the IntraFi account that's earning about 3.95% until we actually need it. And a lot of the balance that's in line 1, I think like $7,000 of that is the ATM fund, and some other things that so they really have done a really good job with that. I think that's all I have to say, unless there's questions on either statement. Check run, check registers. So again, this was a month that there wasn't anything too out of the ordinary. If you go down about 3/4 of the way to check 34494 to our attorneys, that's higher than usual. I don't know if that's the subject of the exec. No, it is not. So Pete did send out something that there was a DHS filing, and a lot of that related to that. We did pay third from the bottom, capital EAP, for an annual employee assistance program. And on the second page, we've never seen it before, but there's 4 manual paychecks. There was an issue with the delivery of the actual physical paychecks, and there's still 4 people that get checks. So they had to be voided and then replaced. And rather than putting names down, we just identified them as manual paychecks, but they were they came from the system but weren't delivered in time. I think that's it. I don't know if there's specific questions about any of the disbursements. And so the cash and cash equivalents report is, I mentioned the IntraFi accounts down from 4% to 3.9%. That's still a pretty good investment rate. We have the same CDs that we had last month. Pete and Colleen tied us into rates going out into next August, thinking that it would protect us against if the rates do drop, which they probably will. So I think that we're in pretty good shape. You can't see the detail of what's in all of the line items on the balance sheet as well. I think that's it, unless there's questions.
So we just need a motion then to approve the check register. So, and thank you, Bethany. Is there a second? Mike. Okay. Are there any additional questions for George or any questions at all? Such a beautiful report. Okay. Oh,
Blown away. Fantastic.
okay, all in favor of approving the check register for September 2025? Okay, wonderful. Pete, you are up.
Thank you, Corey. Relatively, as you can see from the narrative report and the director's report, relatively normal month. Not a whole lot of exciting things to comment on. One thing I did want to highlight is we just completed a leadership retreat for our library leadership team, which is anyone, well, not anyone, many of our MC contracts and our L2s, which are our library supervisors. We went off site, we did DISC assessments, so we can now talk to each other about our personality types essentially and how we work and how we think and how we communicate. And the goal is not only for us to understand ourselves as individuals, but to understand us as a team and focus on the health and the cohesion of the team. So it's early days, we're still debriefing from that leadership retreat, but I expect, I'm hoping, for it to bear some fruit in just how we work together. And I know that's been a goal of ours for a while. I imagine it was probably a goal, when I was hired, was working on developing our leadership team. So I'm glad to really begin that work in earnest. The other major things that we worked on this year, or this month rather, benefit renewal. We're now in open enrollment for our health insurance. So that took a lot of staff bandwidth. It's not glamorous work and the insurance market is not great right now, but we're working with what we have. So benefit renewals. And we are also looking ahead, not just to next year's budget. Everyone get excited. The budget process begins in earnest in January. But so we're trying not only to look at next year's budget, but the next 3 years worth of budgets to try to position ourselves better for in case we want to do something adventurous, different, exciting with future budgets. So like I said, that part's not terribly exciting. The parts that are exciting, if you go deeper into the director's report, under adult services, Christina Ronald laid out several of our really interesting programs that we did this month. And I highlight that because it really runs the gamut of what you'd expect from a public library. So things like book clubs, we had our ministry book club kickoff this month. But also we ran a budgeting 101 class, which is part of our adulting series. So a way to get new adults and younger adults life skills to help them move forward. I wish I'd had adulting 101 classes when I was younger. I wish I had them now. So we have those types of programs, but then I really want to highlight GrufusCon, which was our fan festival that we did last month. A lot of work went into that. It was spearheaded by Sam, one of our librarians. Such a clever idea, and Sam lays out in the narrative form how they developed the idea from a conference that they went to, so something they learned in continuing education, that they then brought back to the library and to the community to really get people jazzed up and excited about their fandoms. And it's kind of like a Comic-Con, if anybody's ever gone to Comic-Con. I'm seeing some nods, okay. If anybody has costumes of themselves at Comic-Con, we won't do it in public, but I'd like to see them. So yeah, so just, it was an incredible, I often refer to these as our Washington Monument programs, you know, so we've got our meat and potatoes, we've got our regular scale programs, then we've got our large scale programs, and we're succeeding on all of those levels. So kudos to the entire team, really strong, exciting stuff. And then if you continue to flip forward to Brianna Wakowitz's section, Brianna presented to all of us last month about summer reading. The youth services team is engaging in a year-long program called Celebrate a Grade, and it's going to escalate as you'd expect. We began with kindergarten, it'll go all the way up through high school. But it's really a way to help our kids in our community feel special and feel an attachment to the library and to identify it with where they are in school and be like, here is a thing for me. Our staff have put a lot of time and energy into strengthening our relationship with the schools. That's a natural partner for us. So they're doing an incredible job. This collage that Brianna and her team put together is just so fantastic. It's so great to see all these kids, you know, really celebrating being in the library. So we are doing a lot to cover all of our age ranges in terms of exciting programming. Not to be left out of the process, if you flip to Sean Silvernail's portion of the report, Sean typically doesn't provide photos, but he provided a drawing that Tom Lucci from our staff did for GrupusCon. It is so cool. Tom is such a talented artist. He periodically draws things for us for our events. This is other duties as assigned. You know, this has nothing to do with Tom's role in the library. This drawing that he made is so great that we actually framed it and hung it up above the printer and copier at the back of the library to put a little light at the end of that part of the building. Sean did want me to mention, now that I've given you the exciting part about Tom's drawing, you should have gotten some training information from our IT team about Cybersecurity Month. Please complete it. It is very important that we are all responsible for protecting our cybersecurity and taking care of our data hygiene. I caught a phishing attempt this morning, so I'm very proud of myself. If you have any issues or challenges getting into those trainings, let me know or let Sean know, and we'll make sure that gets taken care of. I think that's everything I wanted to cover. Were there questions about anything in the report?
I just had a question on your training session. You said you went offsite. Did you go to where the trainer was, and who was the trainer?
The trainer was someone from the Mahoney Group, a consulting firm that's in Latham. We went off-site to, remember the name of the
Hangar?
place? The Hangar at 743. Yeah, it's at the airport. It's just a really cool site where they had like actual airplanes that we could walk around and take a look at. Yeah, so that's where they were located. So it was easy for us to go there. But it was important to me that we were all able to focus. So we went no laptops, no cell phones, off-site and locked in. So
So how many hours?
4. Yep, 4. And then we did a 2-hour debrief afterwards.
Were you predominantly yellow or green for desks?
I don't remember the colors. We were predominantly D and C. A smattering of S, no I's. For those who are familiar with DISC, each letter stands for a portion of your personality. And I is the people who are like excited and cheerleaders and people who applaud at the end of meetings, which I would like more of that. So if we want to start applauding at the end of our meetings, I would love it. But yeah, we are predominantly D and C. So now we have to learn how to work in an organization that likes making decisions and likes knowing all the facts.
Okay,
Yeah.
very cool.
It's nice to know that. Thank you. Oh, that felt good.
I for you.
Yeah, exactly. There's no I in
Frozen.
theme, but there's I in DISC.
Can I ask a question about something that's not covered in the report?
Sure.
Technically, I believe it happened in October. So is there a good plan in place for transitioning, like ordering out of Baker and Taylor?
Thank you. That was something I did want to bring up. Good
Okay.
reminder. For those who don't know, Baker and Taylor is one of the largest library book vendors in the world, certainly in the country. They were experiencing a lot of financial difficulties over the past couple of years. They are ceasing operations at the end of this year. We were actually in a good place. We began to pivot to Ingram, which is another vendor, several months ago. Libraries who are not as fortunate as us, who are trying to get off Baker and Taylor now, are experiencing 6-month wait times to get into Ingram. And worse, there's another vendor called Brodart. Brodart told us that they are not accepting new customers unless they can guarantee spending over $150,000 per year in billables. That's not a commitment we can necessarily make. For many smaller libraries, that's larger than their entire library budget. So this is Baker and Taylor going under is going to have huge ramifications for libraries region-wide, nationwide. So to answer your question, we are in a good place. We already began to pivot out of Baker and Taylor. So we're okay. We're experiencing a little bit of delay on getting material on the shelves because our Ingram materials do not come processed yet. So we're doing the processing in-house, which adds time. We will get on Brodart's calendar to get that work done outsourced so that we don't have to do it. So I expect some short-term pain, but we're okay right now.
Might be a bigger impetus to buy at our book sales.
Right, yeah, or to take donated materials out of the book sale, you know, like, yeah, no, it's like, I can't overstate it enough. It's really bad for the industry that Baker and Taylor is going out of business. There are not a lot of library-specific vendors for anything we do. Libraries are not a huge market. They're not a profitable market. The profit margins are tight for most of these vendors. And when one goes under, it's bad for everyone. So not much, and there's nothing we can do about it, but.
You know, are their prices lower than what you would pay on Amazon or one of the?
It depends. Like Amazon discounts fluctuate. They might change a discount on a book on a whim, whoever they're trying to push, that kind of thing. The benefit that you get from a traditional library vendor is the back-end programming, the things that make it findable and searchable in our catalog. We don't have to do that work. That comes from the vendor. And then the processing work comes from the vendor. So book jacketing, spine labeling, those are traditional things. Amazon is trying to get into the library market. They ebb and flow. 10 years ago, they were super hot on libraries. 5 years ago, they hated libraries and wished we'd all go out of business. They're back to liking libraries again. Currently, the only thing Amazon is offering is Mark Records, the programming that goes with the material we order. They are not offering processing, so it's not a great deal for us because the discount would be offset by staff time. We're gonna keep our eye on it. Some smaller libraries that do less volume than we do just buy from Amazon, or they go to the book house in Stuyvesant.
Barnes and Noble is trying to get into the business as well.
Yes, yeah, there's blood in the water.
There we
So new vendors, Player 2 has entered the game.
Well, I'm glad to hear you guys have it. There's a good plan and you are already going towards it.
Yeah, and public kudos for Kathleen, who's the head of our.
Yeah, that's why I was like
CPF team.
flipping back to see if I missed something, but I realized it's all happened this month.
It has, and typically Kathleen's report is non-narrative. She does a lot of statistics. But no, Kathleen led the charge on that. Her team implemented it and did really great work.
Fantastic. Okay, thank you for that. Any other questions for Pete? All right, wonderful work everybody is doing here. This is awesome. So, committee reports. Tony did send me a couple of notes from finance, but I don't know that there was anything major to add. You want to speak? I think part of it was on the audit, correct?
I don't think there was anything major. We did decide that I think that you distributed the audited financial statements, or we will send them out.
Yes, we will.
We will, okay. And, we talked about the process a little bit. The auditors suggested, they said, it's typical that the auditors do a presentation, but the fact that there's been such a long time lag from the end of the year, it didn't seem like there was a lot of sense to that. And, I've reviewed them. I went over some of the big changes with the finance committee, but the fact is, there's nothing remarkable about them, I guess. So I think if we send them out and talk about them a little bit next time, I think we would have fulfilled our responsibilities.
And I think the idea we talked about at finance is if we send, after this meeting, we send that information to the
Yeah.
board. If you have questions, you can send them to me or George, and then we'll make sure to address them at the next month. But we would need to vote to accept the audited statements.
Yeah. Yep.
So the thinking is, if there are no questions, we can vote to accept it. If there are questions, we might have to present on them or resolve them.
Are the auditors presenting or are you presenting on the auditor's behalf?
I was probably just gonna give a very quick overview. I mean, I think that I realized that not everybody probably is gonna read them page by page, word by word, and will find them as, what were the words, Pete? Glamorous and exciting as I find.
Well, and just to kind of, and George, correct me if I get into the details wrong, but to remind everybody where we are on the audits is that we got way behind because we had this issue about how to account for some of the bond money from the construction project that took a long time to get nailed down and resolved. So this is an audit from, what's the calendar or the year?
June 30th, 2022.
Yeah. And so now, so we're several years behind. So we're also putting out a RFP to get an auditor to do a multi-year to try and catch us up. So we'll be back current on that. So that's like the next stage, is to get an auditor to kind of do a couple years right in a row and then catch us up so we can get back on track.
I think the good news is the audit really booked everything from the building project and resolved the issues, and we got a legal opinion and did everything right. It just seemed like it took forever and a day. And there wasn't the sense of urgency to finish it, which just, and I think there were changes and things, but I guess at the end of the day, there wasn't any really negative findings or anything or any negative trends. So it's just, but it is our responsibility to make sure that they're presented, to the board and approved. So I think over the next year, we'll be doing that a
Couple
lot.
of times, okay. Well, thanks to you both for sharing that from finance. Alish, is there anything from personnel?
Well, not really. So we did have a meeting with Aaron, which was like the last board meeting. Where we just kind of went through what our initial thoughts were for some of the contract negotiations. And then we postponed our meeting for this month until the 23rd to make sure, and I don't know who Colleen is, I'm not gonna lie, but Colleen's coming.
She's our library business manager. Yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
Usually here.
that Colleen.
Yeah.
I was, it just said Colleen, and I was
Like,
like.
you know who she is.
The other
Not here today.
Colleens.
So there could be other Colleens. No, library business.
So library business manager Colleen will be there 5:30 on the 23rd.
And I can add a quick update on that too from labor negotiations, because that's separate and I go in my role as the president. That the civil service, what is his title?
Labor specialist.
Labor specialist that was there said they will be presenting their asks in January. So we probably don't have much work to do on negotiating anything within the contract until we hear from them in January. Mhm.
Okay,
So just an update.
might
And
take a
that's-
break in
That's
December
it.
then.
Yeah, so enjoy your downtime. I know that part of our facilities discussion needs to happen in closed session. Is there other things that you would like to report out now?
We discussed the farmer's market and how that went this summer. Overall, it was a good operation for many vendors who were out there. Skylight, we've had Titan in, they've gone through 2 steps of their diagnostics, and so far that has not stopped the leak. So you'll have to stay tuned until next month to find out what the follow-on is to that. On Decor, we just have a number of things in the process right now. You'll notice that Pete and the library staff have put some library bookshelves on some of the bigger wall spaces to account for those that will take up the need for artwork there and create more floor space. But in terms of getting more decor in here, it's a combined effort between what Mike is doing with the volunteers and the school and Pete's team to come up with an acceptable package of stuff that we can put on. So sure. That's basically it for now, I think, the
Okay.
big stuff.
Thank you, Bill. Mike, has governance met?
Governance did not meet this month. We just could not find a date that was working for people. We are hopefully gonna meet next week. I have to check with Barb after the meeting today to kind of confirm times, because we're trying to nail down a time that works for everybody. So, hopefully next week, but anyway.
We'll be on pins and needles until you report back next month. Long range planning did meet. We are starting our focus groups on Saturday. So that is very exciting. So hopefully we'll have more information to report back at the next meeting. Bethany, is there anything from board development?
We've had a couple emails back and forth. We are gonna meet in November, finding a time in November. I did touch base with the Upper Hudson Library System President, right?
Executive director, yeah.
Executive director that you put me in touch with, and so we're just kind of floating some ideas of what kinds of trainings, when, how to set up some sort of system to track everybody's trainings. But we have not officially met yet and will be in November.
Awesome. Thank you. Alish, was there a foundation meeting?
Yeah.
Nope.
There are other bunch now, right? So-
Oh.
So.
Okay. Upper Hudson, we gave out all of the funding that comes from the state that helps out libraries that are in need with a project. Guilderland did not apply. We didn't have a major project this year, but it's something for us to keep in mind as we move forward. If there's something that needs to happen, if it turns out the skylight is a bigger deal and we can get quotes, that there is funding that's available. And this is the cycle that it happens, the application and the awards happen in the fall. That's all I have. Is there anything else from committees? Do we have any old business? It's lingering. Is there any new business? I'm rolling through. Is there any additional public input? Is there any board comments? Hey, go GPL. That doesn't need to be announced. So before we adjourn this evening, we actually do have need for an executive session. It is to discuss the termination of a person or corporation. So I would ask for a motion to move into executive session. Thank you, Barbara. Is there a second? Okay, I'll take that from Bethany. Okay, off to executive session we go.
Don't we have to vote
Oh,
to go in?
all in favor of going in?
Aye.
Okay. Now we're going in.
Okay.
Do you need me to leave?
I think you can stay if you would like to. I don't.
Did we just second on that motion? Okay.
Bethany.